Welcome to Off and Pacing for Snooze Cannington and Coburn. It's amazing what a little snooze can do.
Thanks to the team at Snooze. It is great to be with you for another edition of Off and Pacing this Monday morning off the back of what was just a magnificent weekend of harness racing. Started here on Friday night at Gloucester Park with some really exciting racing and obviously the return of Magnificent Storm, which no doubt we will chat about in just a moment with Matt Young and Ollie Cownie. And then we rolled on to Saturday night at Albion Park and also Bunbury, where we had the running of the 2-year-old features, the De Campo Memorial down there as well. So plenty to work through this morning on this Monday morning. Tim Walker with you, and standing by are our experts, Matt Young and Ollie Cownie. We'll get to them momentarily. Emily Suvaljko will be with us in a couple of moments' time as well. She was, of course, there on Saturday night and through the course of last week in Queensland. So it'll be great to have a chat to her about her experience, her time up there in the Sunshine State, and obviously an eye towards this afternoon at Gloucester Park. And don't forget, if you are thinking about heading on down, make the most of the $32 two-course lunch and dessert meals there in Steelos for the next 2 Mondays here at Gloucester Park while we do race here on Mondays at headquarters. All right, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Our experts are standing by. One of them is Ollie Cownie. Ollie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning, listeners. It was a fantastic weekend of racing there on Saturday at Albion Park, and obviously Friday as well at Gloucester Park. That was a fantastic card with plenty of competitive races.
Matt Young's along as well. Hello to you, Matt.
Good morning, Tim, Ollie, everyone tuned in.
Was it something to experience Saturday night up there?
Yeah, I mean, Ollie's probably had the opportunity a few times to see Leap to Fame in the flesh, but it was my first experience of seeing him live, and it was just really cool to be there. At the heart of it, I'm a harness racing nerd, and so it's just good to see the champions, and to be able to watch him was firsthand is a great experience, and he's definitely one of the better horses I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Whereabouts do you have him, Matt?
Well, I can't have him higher than Quinny because, I think I had this argument, not argument, but I think I had a discussion with a few people on Saturday night about where I sit him. But as a rule, Tim, I hate comparing champions. So, look, I just think he's a new version of Black's a fake. He's just got that high speed to go with his toughness. So that's as much comparing as I'll do, but I have him right up there in terms of probably top 3 or 4. Well, definitely top 3 that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, you knew that question was coming, Matt. I was always going to ask that of you. Hey, Ollie.
Yeah, and you know that Quinny's number 1.
Ollie, it's a sigh of relief for you. You told us about your experience with the Calcutta on Thursday night. You told us about that on Friday morning on the Retrovision Gloucester Park preview, and all's well that ends well.
Yeah, it was certainly a relief there, but I wasn't too stressed in the end as they were scoring up and about to let them go. I was pretty confident that Leap to Fame would be able to get the job done, and Grant, he's just so good in these big moments. I knew he'd be able to get him off the fence if he was crossed in the early stages, and that's exactly what happened. And, I think everyone in the field was just pretty keen to be the one that was following Leap to Fame, because obviously that's just the best position in the race to be, and he's proven over the last few months, Leap to Fame, that he's just such a dominant horse, and you'd always be crazy to hold him out. I think there's only one horse in the country that can hold him out over staying distances, and his name is Swayze, and he wasn't there on Saturday night.
No, he certainly wasn't. All right, gents, let's get stuck into it. I want to start here at Gloucester Park, if we can, from Friday night, and look back at what we saw there. And the headline active obviously was Magnificent Storm. He was back on Friday night in what was essentially the free-for-all event of the evening, and was beaten by Heavenly Gypsy. I don't think he was disgraced by any stretch of the imagination. Ollie, your thoughts firstly?
Yeah, well, it was a really interesting race in the early stages, and you saw Longreach Bay have a pretty good look at Heavenly Gypsy, and she's gone on to be a really impressive winner in the end there. She's run some pretty solid sectionals, that last 1200, to beat Magnificent Storm. So I certainly think he's gone really well as well in third. And given he was first up and has had all those issues, I think it was a terrific effort. And it sounds like it's only going to be a short campaign, and he's probably going to come back a bigger and better horse later in the year.
It was rock solid, Matt, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, Heavenly Gypsy's. She's a very, very smart mare, and she stretched the neck of Penny Black, who we know how good Penny Black is. So, look, I thought she was really good, but yeah, I went into that race a little apprehensive first up after some time away and the obvious issues that Magnificent Storm had. I thought he'd need the run, and yeah, coming to the turn, I thought he had them done, and then just struggled a little bit that last 50 or so, but I think he was well and truly entitled to. Junior drove to beat him, of course, and was able just to crack him, but I don't know how many more times I'll be able to hold him out when he's got a few more runs under his belt.
All right. Now, both of you have got horses to follow from the first race, so we'll start with you, Matt. Your first horse to follow from Friday night and roll through them.
Yeah, first horse to follow. Look, I'm going with Sweet Ivy. I think her previous couple of runs were just a touch disappointing, and she worked into the clear and got home really strongly on Friday night. I think it's a good indication that she's heading in the right direction, and I thought she was a really strong chance to be one to follow going forward on what we saw on Friday. I like Del Boca Vista Bay in the second race. He's been a little bit hit and miss this time in, but he came from back in the field and ran into endless dead ends. So I think Del Boca Vista Bay is one to follow. And the stable seems to be going pretty well on a Friday night. He flashed home up behind them with Mega Mac finishing second in that race. Also, Mega Mac finishing into the money in that race as well. And Hotly Pursued, I thought, was outstanding on a return run. It didn't look great on paper from my end in terms of map and the way the race was going to be run. But I thought his run was first class. He's a first-class horse. It's great to see him back. And he's one that I really like and was happy to put him back into the black book. So Sweet Ivy, Del Boca Vista Bay and Hotly Pursued are my three.
Murray Lindell was absolutely rapt, having a quick chat to him prior to the next race where Talks Up a Storm obviously went around in that Magnificent Storm race we just referenced earlier on. So let's hope that it's a big campaign for Hotly Pursued, and that was a terrific race as well, a really fascinating finish. Ollie, you've got Hotly Pursued as one of your horses to follow too.
Yeah, he was terrific there on Friday night. Just being first up for such a long time was obviously a really big query, but it didn't worry him there. He's only beaten a metre, and they're behind horses that are really high quality. Chase Me, we know he's got a huge ruck on him. Mr. Fantastic was terrific last start, and Louis Dior has been racing awesome recently. They ran a really solid last 1200. They've gone 28-7, 27-7, 28-8. So for Hotly Pursued to be beaten as far as he was, I thought it was a super effort, and he's certainly going to be better for that run there on Friday night. I'm really looking forward to what he can do because he was a really nice younger horse. So it's great to see him back at the races. One of the other horses I had to follow was in that first race, and I found Push Button Rock. I think this horse is going pretty much career best recently. She seems to be hitting the line superb, and they ran a pretty quick last half there, so it wasn't necessarily a race that suited those run-on horses that well, but she was powering home, and I think there's certainly a race for her soon when she's not drawn gate 9, which she was on Friday night. And the last horse I had to follow was from the last race. It was Cherry on the Cake. I thought this horse was a huge improver there on Friday night after doing the work in the race, which probably isn't something she's really known for. She came off the pegs mid-race when She's a Tiny Dancer moved up, and that runner was able to get the run on the back of Cherry on the Cake and was just a touch too good, but Cherry on the Cake had done the work, and they got home 28-3, so I thought there was plenty to take out of that run. She's probably near peak fitness, and if she can lead soon, I think she can win.
All right, so the horses to follow for Ollie there from Friday night: Push Button Rock, Hotly Pursued and Cherry on the Cake. Matt with Sweet Ivy, Del Boca Vista Bay and also Hotly Pursued. All right, let's turn our attention to Gloucester Park today. Ollie, we'll let you keep rolling. The first of yours comes up in the third today.
Yeah, I've got one here that I thought was going to go around a pretty big price in Rockability. He is a horse that has always shown pretty good ability, and I think he has quite high speed, and he was a really good run a couple of starts ago when he ran second at this track. He did get the right run there, but they went okay time for this type of grade. And then last start, he was in a Metro Wins race. So he was out the back there, but he was out the back the whole way, and they ran pretty good time. Blazon won that race, and he's a pretty classy horse. So I think stepping back into this grade, I can really see him running a solid race, and 1x3, 1x4. I think he looks a really good angle there. Be Kind is obviously going to be hard to beat, but looked like she was a bit green on debut, so something might be able to knock her off. So I'm happy to play things that way. The next horse I was keen to have a look at today in race 5 was Tumbling Dice. I thought it found the right type of race here. It's third up from a spell. The run last start was really good there at Gloucester Park, gate 7. Things just didn't work out for him there, and he was able to run into a good second behind Beach Captain, who was a pretty dominant winner. I think here can fly the gate, can push to the front. Bondstar's not a horse that's blessed with brilliant gate speed, and if Tumbling Dice finds the front, I think he's going to take a lot of catching there. And then the last horse today was in race 6 that I wanted to have a look at, and I thought that was Elegant Pika. I think this looks a really suitable race. She was great last start behind Quigley, who's one of the better trotters in the state, and didn't shirk the task at all, and was only beaten a couple of metres. And I think this race just looks a lot easier, and they're starting off a handicap, but I think the horse off the front, Kill the Sunset's been struggling to win, so essentially only a 20-metre handicap, and I think she looks really suited in this race, and she can fly the tapes and be really hard to beat.
All right, so that is a look at Ollie's plays for today. What about you, Matt? How did you look to make $1 at Gloucester Park?
Yeah, playing races 3, 5 and 7. So with race 3, I liked the way that the race could sort of, not race 3, I'm just clueless today, race 2, number 3.
Okay.
So Belling Up Boy I thought was a really good place chance in. Race number 2, I thought the first up run just had plenty of merit, was a really good effort on that occasion, and can do some work when needed in the races. I thought, obviously, emphasised going around at a very short quote, but yeah, Belling Up Boy for mine, I think is a really good place chance around the flip of the coin. Go to race 5. Obviously, agree with Ollie completely. Tumbling Dice, I thought he would just dash to the top, lead and win. So, yeah, I was very keen on his chance. I loved his last run, and he just has an exceptional record when he leads. So he's the second one to follow. And then in race number 7, going with Rockstar Quality, just because of what I mentioned quickly on the preview, is that I think there's a couple of ways this horse can win the race. And if he does ping across and lead, I think from there he'll win if he leads. But I think he can still win even if he was leaders back, because Better Bucks and On Golden Road aren't the quickest beginners in the world. So I think Rockstar Quality can get into a really good position in the early stages either way, and from there be quite dangerous. Strips fitter, ticks a few boxes going to the last, and we've also seen Cara Diana be beaten on a few occasions at the shorter quote, although I do think this does look a suitable race for her. I would probably play Rockstar Quality, and then if you wanted to have a saver in the race, you would just have the Cornella with the pair of them. You'd probably be able to chop out of the race and make a small profit either way. And if Rockstar Quality wins, then it's a big bonanza. But we'll go race 2, number 3, Place, Belling Up Boy. Race 5, number 3, Straight Out, Tumbling Dice. And race 7, number 5, Rockstar Quality to win as well.
All right, keep rolling to Northam tomorrow night, Matt.
Okay, that's where I'll be heading to. Look, races 2 and 5 for me at Northam tomorrow, and race 2 I was happy to play Basing Hall. I think this horse will run a really good race, can push forward at the start, do some work, a bit of depth there. I think this horse can get the job done, so race 2, number 5 in Basing Hall, and in race 5 I'm going with Repossession Each Way. I think there could be a little bit happening in the early stages here, and Repossession could be one that just flies under the radar at each way odds, and I think some of the performances have had a bit of merit. So race 5, number 7 each way. race 2, number 5, straight out at Northern tomorrow night.
All right. Now, what about you, Ollie? How did you look to play tomorrow night at Northern?
Race 4 was the first one I found one in, and I thought would go well in Get the Booth. I think this horse is going quite well this time in. First up, I was really taken by that run where she was able to hit the line hard and run third in that race. And that race was taken out by Grand Coteau, who's been good again since that run. And Candy Apple was second in that race, and we saw Candy Apple win quite impressively on Friday night. So I think the form out of that race particularly looks good. And then Last Start just did a little bit of work in the early stages and couldn't quite finish that race off, but I think there could be a little bit of speed in this race, and it's probably a lesser race than she's been taking on in recent starts. So I think she's really going to appreciate that. She's pretty versatile. She does have very good gate speed, and although she has done things wrong at times, if she was to really fly the gate here, I think she'd nearly get across them at the start, and if she did, she'd prove incredibly hard to catch. She seems to be a good front runner, and she goes best on the rail. So I think if she gets that set up, she's going to be hard to beat. But however it plays out, I think she looks a good each-way angle in that race. And then in race 5, I'm going with Matt's horse here, Sagander. He's dropped off his favourite horse here, but I thought she might be able to zip to the front and be really hard to beat here. She's been racing super in recent starts, was a good second last start at Pinjarra behind Girl of Brightness there in what was a pretty solid race. The better side was third in that race, and he's obviously previously won a feature race, so looks pretty good form, and I think Sagander can be really hard to beat there.
All right, so Get the Booth and Sagander for Ollie. Tomorrow night, Bashing Hall and Repossession for Matt in race 2 and 5 respectively. All right, that brings us to the end of the segment this morning, gents. Very nicely done. Don't forget as well, the Racing WA Harness X page today, Gloucester Park, full coverage of the meeting later on this afternoon. All the very best, Matt. Many winners to you.
Cheers, guys.
And Ollie, we will catch up with you again tomorrow morning as well.
Looking forward to it.
There is Ollie Cownie and Matt Young. Their look at the meetings today at Gloucester Park, and also Northern. They'll be back along for our Tuesday morning preview of the 7-event card tomorrow night. That'll be on the Sports Daily tomorrow morning from 8:35. Quick break. Up next, Emily Suvaljko.
You are listening to Often Pacing for Lane Tomich's Snooze in Cannington and Coburn. It's amazing what a little snooze can do.
Yeah, great to have your company. Thanks to the team at Snooze. Often Pacing for a Monday morning, just gone 25 minutes past 9 o'clock. All eyes towards Gloucester Park later on today, and then Northern tomorrow night. But over the past couple of weeks, we've had the focus of the harness racing world on what was going on up in Queensland with the Inter-Dominion Series, and we also saw 10 heats of the Australasian Young Drivers Championship, and Emily Suvaljko was up there in Queensland flying the flag for WA, and it's great to have her on the program now to recap her time up there in the Sunshine State. A very good morning to you, Emily.
Morning, Tim.
How was the last week or so up there in Queensland?
Yeah, it was very good. The weather was a little bit nicer than coming home, and it was raining and cold, so the weather was beautiful up there, and yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah, what was the expectations going in, and did it meet your expectations the week up there?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we get to drive for a lot of different trainers, I've never heard of, and a lot of different horses as well, and obviously meet new people as well.
How was that? Obviously, having to find out quickly about horses that you were driving and getting to know what some of their traits are and what their tricks are, if I can put it in that way, and then also chatting to trainers and getting to know them just quickly before races, if it did play out that way. What was that like?
I'm quite lucky. Obviously, Ollie Cownie's the owner of Michael Young's, and he's an expert in the Queensland form, so pretty lucky to have him on my side. I was able to message him so I could kind of go to the trainers and have some sort of idea how the race would be run. Obviously, in these junior series, we run a lot quicker first quarters and lead times than what they usually would run in these sort of races, but I had some sort of idea of the horses' quirks and that before I got over there, and then we'd have plenty of time to get over there early and talk to the trainers and get to know a little bit more about him.
Absolutely, and obviously being able to score a couple of wins up there as well was that, I suppose, a good result to be able to not only get up there and get a win, but also to vindicate the position that you were able to get up there by flying the WA flag for what we've got here is a very good crop of young drivers.
Yeah, definitely. There were some very good drivers in the series. Obviously, James Herbertson, he's not only taken out the Young Drivers Champs, he's also Australasia's best driver at the moment as well. So, very good competition in the series. And, very good competition in the series, and it was just a really good experience.
What was it like to rub shoulders with some very good young drivers like you touched on there? Obviously, James Herbertson, who's doing a remarkable job, and what he's done this season has been terrific, but to test yourself against some other up-and-coming young stars of the sport.
Yeah, obviously Sam Thornley was a part of the series. He was able to take out the series last year. And, there was a lot of drivers I'd actually never met before, so it was really good to drive against them. And obviously they've won some big races and that as well. And, a lot of good upcoming drivers as well. So it was good to meet all them.
Driving at Albion Park and Redcliffe, in particular Redcliffe, and some of the characteristics of that track, what was that like?
Yeah, Redcliffe, it's very different. I've obviously been fortunate enough to drive there before, so I'd had a little bit of a feel of the track, but you kind of get out there and you're looking up with a lap to go and there's still 2 straights to go. So it's very different. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to pick up an outside drive there, and I was able to lead and go all the way for an old trainer of the sport. So that was really good as well.
Great to see you flying the flag for WA so well up there. And just obviously the last one on it all it was on Inter Dominion night, seeing Leap to Fame up close and in the flesh. What was that like?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to see him a few times as well. Been over for the carnival last season to watch him, and he's obviously just a beast of an animal. You see Grant doesn't really get stuck into him, and the quarters he can run is just insane. So very fortunate to be able to watch a horse like that.
He was terrific there, and a terrific couple of weeks of harness racing. And obviously the Australasian Young Drivers Championship was the key focus for Emily Suvaljko, our guest this morning on Off and Pacing. Now, if we can turn our attention to today at Gloucester Park, so there's no time to waste, you straight back into it. Your first drive today is American Typhoon, so obviously second on Saturday night. What was your take on having a look back at that, if you have had the chance to look back at that?
Her work before had probably been only okay, so I think she's obviously a better racehorse. She was able to get a little bit of form back on the board. The one that sat on her back probably had every right to get over her. I think it's actually quite a nice horse when it does things right. So she was probably pretty good to still hang on for second.
So how did you play it over the short trip today?
That's one I have to just speak to Michael about. She's obviously got that little bit of gate speed. I don't know that she's overly tough either, so we'll just probably have to assess it out the gate where we're going to lob. All
right. The best version of Ambit Sire should win the second race today. Will we see the best version of Ambit Sire, do we think?
Hopefully. I'd been begging Michael to try and get this horse, and he was able to get it, which is good. So, obviously her trial was very good. She seemed to do everything right. And, it's quite an open race. But, the best of her, she's probably dropping back in class. So I think she's got a few strings to her bow. Obviously, she's not known for her gate speed, but I think she got out pretty well in the trial as well. So we can kind of assess it early and go from there.
All right. Blue Blazer, the old boy's got a tricky draw to overcome, but he's racing well at the moment. Could he be some sort of top 4 or 5 player?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, with the exception of Senior's horse, it probably looks quite an open race. Obviously, his best racing pattern's probably just sitting up and coming with the one run. So it might be a little bit tricky if we end up too far back, but he should be hitting the line well.
Trouble Supreme, you team up with race 4. Is he working towards a win or at least one whereby he goes very close to winning a race?
Yeah, I think so. I was quite happy with him last start. Obviously, the form doesn't look great, but he got stuck behind one that was dropping out, and he just went to the line jogging. So, he's probably got a little bit of an awkward draw to come up with. We probably only like sitting him up till late. He's got a really quick 200 on him, so if the pressure's on in this race, he can definitely be there.
Soho Gigolo was obviously good last week, finishing second to Cry Havoc. The boys speaking to Ollie and Matt earlier on, they made Tumbling Dice their best bet of the day. Can you prove them wrong in race number 5?
Hopefully, I'd like to. Obviously, this is a very open race as well, so obviously Gigolo's got a bit of gate speed and he's got a bit of toughness about him as well, so we'll be able to talk to Glenn and weigh up our options, but he's a nice horse in this race. Probably
outside of Ambitsai, would he be the best of your 5 today?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yep, excellent. All right, job well done. Well done last week, getting a couple of winners up there, flying the flag for WA, and let's hope that you can roll straight back into some winners today at Gloucester Park. All the very best.
Thanks, Tim.
There is Emily Suvaljko with us, our special guest on Off and Pacing. Thanks to Snooze. Great to have Snooze on board, Off and Pacing once again today. All right, that brings us to the end of the program. If you missed any of it, it will be up on the podcast, tabradio.com.au very shortly. We have got racing today coming our way from Bairnsdale, Moruya and Bathurst. We will have the Moruya preview on the other side of the break. Thanks for listening into Off and Pacing today. Don't forget, Matt and Ollie both with Tumbling Dice as their best today. Race 5, number 3 on that Monday program. The next 2 Mondays down here at Gloucester Park. And don't forget to get into Steelo's and enjoy the 2-course meals that are on offer for $32. Make the most of that over the next fortnight. That's Off and Pacing for another week. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to Off and Pacing for Snooze Cannington and Coburn. It's amazing what a little snooze can do.